Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's Conscious Conversation sessions. Today's talk is on minimalism, the power of decluttering. And I'd like to just first quickly introduce people who are new here, what these talks are all about, and why we do them. I want to give a quick introduction about Dr. Nupur. Dr. Nupur is, so she began a career as a medical doctor and then transitioned into a coach for mind body medicine. I mean, that's the best way to put it. I met her through another coach, and I learned about the fact that she deals with people who have cancer, especially a lot of cancer patients, or any chronic health conditions, and she helps them to deal with it through hypnotherapy and various other EFT and other modalities. And
Mindfulness as well, yeah.
mindfulness as well, right? That's how I actually met her through Ashish. And in the sessions, I want to get some therapy, and we started doing some therapy. In fact, she's my therapist since Jan now, and I've had a lot of benefits from her sessions. And that's when we began to talk about this. And I said, this is fantastic. Why don't we do talks on these? Why don't we have these conversations with people about how these things work and why they work and stuff like that. So both of us are doing this just because we're passionate about it. We want people to hear about this. And yeah, and before we get started, I think, Nupur, why don't you say a few words about why you are here?
Yeah, thank you, Rishi, and thanks to everybody who's taken the time out. It's a very dear topic to us. But having said that, Rishi and I have been interacting for the last 6 months now, and there were certain topics which we felt very deeply about, and we thought, why don't we create a platform where we could talk about them, share information, and we name them conscious conversations. And one thing led to another, and this is our fourth call, or so to say, a fourth webinar that we are doing. So we do have a YouTube channel that you could catch the ones you have missed. We have had it on cancer. We have had it on mind-body medicine. And the myth of the happily ever after is what we had, I think, the last conversation on. And everything that we discuss is something that we very closely experience. I'm also a mindfulness teacher. So, a lot of these topics are a part of my practice, and also some things that I share with my clients and patients. So thank you so much. And Rishi, you have been doing some work on the space of decluttering and releasing and letting go, not just physically, but also mentally and emotionally. So why don't you talk us about, how has that been for you? What do you feel about minimalism? So
Yeah.
please
Yeah,
go ahead.
absolutely. I think the one of the reasons why I like this topic today, because I actually had some recent experiences which I want to share. So I think it all started. I think we had a hypnosis session, and there was a lot of my whole body was going through like a lot of throwing out. I got a cough and cold, and I said, "Nupur, I don't know what's going on." But after that last session, I'm like, "There's a lot of toxins going out, I think." And I just felt like, I need to switch my diet. I need to change what I'm eating. And just wanted to get rid of stuff. And right after that, I of course started feeling really great, when I stopped eating all this crap that we're eating and started eating good food. I felt really good. And then I also felt like I needed to start getting rid of the stuff that I keep. It's like I feel like we just collect so much and buy so much of shit, and we just keep it in our houses. And I realized I'm not going to use this. I'm just keeping it. I'm not going to use this. Is an old router. Maybe somebody else will find a benefit for this. Get rid of this. Get rid of that. We actually even I told Nupur about this, and she had no idea that I had a Facebook group where we can give away stuff. We can put stuff away and then give it away. Whoever wants can come and pick it up. Because anyway, we probably put it in the bhangar. So if somebody wants that stuff, whether it's a chair, whether it's an electronic device which you're not using, an old mobile maybe, it's just sitting there, chargers. I mean, oh my God, so many things, cables. We keep so much of stuff. And there's this Facebook group we created where we actually give stuff away, and it's actually feels good to give it away. So Nupur shared with me a documentary which I will be sharing on the chat. And if you're watching this on YouTube, then it'll be in the description below the YouTube video. Uh, that documentary, there's got a lot of episodes. Just the first one was pretty good. I was pretty much in tears watching that because it was such a emotional experience for that couple to clean up their own house. So it's there on Netflix actually. It's a documentary. It's called Tidying Up with Marie Kondo. I think that's the one. I watched the first couple ones. I think that was good enough for me. I felt I was on the right track, and I actually got rid of a lot of stuff. So apart from feeling good to give stuff away, uh, I started getting other thoughts like, man, we are on rent actually. We are coming up for like 60, 70, 80 years, maybe 90 years. And then we're gone. We're not taking any of this stuff with us. So why do we clutter so much? So I started thinking in terms of maybe we should get everything on rent, instead of owning stuff and keeping stuff. It just feels so much nicer and freer, and I can move anytime I want without having to feel like I'm stuck here because I have all my stuff here. Like everything I own or everything, all the stuff that I have is keeping me here and not making me mobile. And I can't really pack my bags and just go because I have so much stuff. but um, but yeah, let me stop rambling on this one and give it back to Nupur so she can tell us more about what is this whole decluttering process, and uh, is maybe it's a phenomenon. Like I'm going through some great stuff. Maybe you can talk more about that. What is this all about? Why does this happen? Why do we feel so good?
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Rishi. And if you're talking about minimalism, which is the topic for today, minimalism is actually a mindset. It is about something that has come in light very recently in the last few years, but it's been there for a long time. It's a concept where we talk about challenging ourselves to living with less. And when I say living with less, it doesn't mean that you're throwing away everything from your homes or you're just completely emptying your rooms and shelves. It talks about a mindset. It's about understanding where are we hoarding and why are we hoarding and what is this need for excess. So that's the concept of minimalism, to challenge ourselves to live with what is essential. And it ties in very beautifully with mindfulness, which is a meditative practice that I am a teacher of, and something that I spread all around the world is about being conscious and being aware and being present in the moment, non-judgmentally. It talks about being aware of ourselves, of being aware of our minds. So somewhere I personally connect minimalism to that practice. It's a very meditative practice, though we don't know that it is, because we are releasing the excess. And it's a very calming and grounding space for all of us to be in. So I would say that for those of us who haven't heard about minimalism or who haven't dabbled in it, it's a very, very interesting area which challenges our preconceptions. It challenges our paradigm where we are led by the society and the world to be very consumer driven world that we are living in. So from consumerism, from excess, coming into a space of what do I really need to live versus what can I, the excess mindset. So it challenges our mindset to hoard, Rishi, what's going on? Why are we hoarding? So something around that space. And because you have been, and I personally have been doing a lot of decluttering for the last, through the pandemic, because, you are all at home and we're working from home. So you have to make the most of your place, but then you also are spending a lot of time at home. And what I realized was that it's not just physical decluttering, and minimalism and decluttering are very related, because if we are new to this whole world of minimalism, it starts by understanding to first release, to first remove. And I started working with a client of mine who lost his mother, and he had lost his father earlier, but he lost his mother through pandemic. And he was a high-flying executive, and he didn't have time to, spend with his mom for the last few years, except for the time when she was ailing. And when she passed away, he went to wrap her place up. He had to move on, sell the property. So he had to unclutter the place, wrap it all up. And he was in shock with the amount of stuff his mom had at home. And he was almost going through a grieving process to see that what could have led her to have so much with her. And she was quite a single person for the last 2-3 years, living alone by herself. And that's when he came, and he kind of had a moment of recognition that that's exactly what he's doing with his life, not only at the physical level, but also at the mental level and emotional level, being a kind of a hoarder. And we actually, believe it or not, did some sessions on minimalism with him, and how can we adopt that as a lifestyle. So yes, it has a lot of power.
So why do we hoard actually? I mean, what is the, you talk about these, he was hoarding so much and she was hoarding so much. Why do we do this? What is the basic insecurity here? What are we afraid of?
That's such a powerful question. And that's a question which I would urge all of us who are on the call today to really pause, to pause and reflect. What is the reason that we indulge in so much, buying things and, sometimes hoarding as well. And we have things which have been there with us for so long, many, many years, we have not used them, but they're still kept. And while I was working in this space, I was also, introspecting on my tendency to kind of hold on to certain things. And where is it stemming from? And what became very evident to me was that there was a feeling of lack. And that's worth exploring for all of us. Are we coming from a sense of lack? Because if we are feeling a sense of lack, we will continue to accumulate. We will continue to hoard, because that's an energetic and a vibrational feeling to have, that I don't have enough. I am not enough. And there is something lacking inherently. And to kind of have a void in our lives or in our mindsets, subconsciously, when the void exists, when there is a feeling that there is, as you said very rightly, insecurity and a sense of lack, we tend to overcompensate at times as well. And that's what leads to this vicious cycle of getting more and yet not feeling satisfied, and then again reaching out and yet not feeling satisfied, and not looking at what we already have and who we already are. But there is this constant underlying vibration of not being enough, not having enough, feeling lack in our energy.
Could this be because of the advertising, or is there like one reason why we are driven to think like this, or is it like multiple reasons? You've actually had cases of people going through this. So are there many reasons for why this happens? I mean,
yeah, I think I would relate it to both subconscious and conscious spaces that we operate in. So I would talk about this mindset that, and it's a conditioning as well. And unless we are made aware of, it's something that is called subtle cues that we are getting from the world that we are in. We are bombarded with information. We are bombarded with advertising and so much information. And the social media is where we all connect with each other. And a lot of times people do tend to portray on social media the best image, the best holidays, the best homes, and what they have. And there's a lot of, that culture that also goes on parallelly. And unless we are very secure and very mindful of who we are and what life means to us, it's very human to get swayed and to feel a sense of wanting that, So there is this culture that is around us, and advertising doesn't help. The consumeristic attitude, people are always trying to come up with, if you go into supermarkets nowadays, there is not just one cereal you have aisles full of cereals, aisles of all varieties and brands. So there is a lot of choice also out there. So unless we are very reflective and mindful, the world can be a very, very chaotic place full of options, and with a subconscious mindset that not ever feeling happy and content with what we have, we could just keep trying more and more and more and more. So, it's really about asking yourselves, where where do you put a full stop? Where do you draw the line? And what's important for you? It doesn't have to be something that's important for me. So, being a little introspective and mindful, that's really important, because otherwise it can make us dizzy with, getting into that mindset.
You're talking about the aisles. Even in when you go online and shop, for food or whatever, I can relate to that because it's like there are like 3, 4 paneers out there. I'm like, Bob, shall we get this one or this one, or let's get both? Tendency, the pattern to go and get both, just to say I shouldn't miss. Maybe this one is better. So let's compare both to see which one I should get next, and why 2 instead of 1. And yeah. But tell me one thing about this decluttering and all this stuff. So if you're decluttering and you're letting go and all of that stuff, how does it does it? Because I start feeling better. So how does it impact our emotional, mental wellness and all of that stuff? How are they connected? Can you talk more about how does that create an impact?
Absolutely, I would. One thing that also came up to me when you were talking about the choices that we have and being inundated with them was what we know as FOMO these days. It's called the fear of missing out. And a lot of times that also stops us from pausing and, really reflecting, why do I need this? Do I really want this, or do I need this? And the fine line between wanting something and needing something, Yeah. And because just for the fear of missing out, you're trying to indulge in a lot of things which your peers may be doing or the society is doing. So, I think FOMO also, it's a fantastic acronym, but yeah, it's again a very powerful space to be aware of, that what am I fearing here? And though we use it very, very casually, there is actually a fear underlying a lot of these actions. And when you ask me about whether this makes us feel good, it absolutely does. So there are studies which are trying to tell us that an uncluttered space and a lighter space surrounding actually helps us to focus better, because our ability to focus and our ability to be task oriented gets increased when there is less clutter around us. And I would really kind of urge all of us to practice, experiment with it, try to make your work table or your room uncluttered, the room in which you are mainly working, whether it's your, professional work or even a place where you work out or perhaps do yoga. Try and just making it light, uncluttered, and see how it makes you feel. Because our space has a direct impact on our perceptions and our mental and emotional processing. At the same time, what we are noticing is that once we start decluttering the physical space, it also helps to ground us into the moment. It makes us more present to what is. We are not so caught up in the activities and over activities of the mind space. It's almost like what I compare it to somebody walking in a garden, or walking in a forest. It grounds you. It brings you a little more out of the mind space into the body space. And that's what clearing up does to you. It somehow is giving us the mental and emotional cues that it's time to let go and release. It's time for it to be out of your energy. And the more we do that physically, Rishi, we also do that mentally and emotionally. Because believe it or not, everything is energy. That's one thing I talk about a lot. Everything is energy. Everything is a vibration. So when we start doing things and decluttering physically, you'll notice that even mentally and emotionally, you start to notice, what am I holding on to? What are the emotional baggages and emotional pains and traumas that I've been holding on to? What are the grievances that I've been holding on to? Because it somehow takes you into the space of wanting to release those as well. And I find that is the highest gift we can give ourselves, if we can start to let go and release ourselves from these blockages. Because in the physical space, it manifests as clutter. But when we hoard emotions and we don't let go and release, we create blockages in the flow of our energy. So that's the impact it can have at the mind-body complex and also in the spatial complex of our existence.
I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to actually let go your emotions or the baggage that you're holding, because it's easier said than
That was actually my next question. People who haven't had the damn experience of doing it, like I did it, but what about Punitya? I mean, they've never had experience. How do they start? Where do they start? Because it's tough, no? It's really tough to let go. Do you
Yeah.
have any techniques or tricks or tips that people are just starting up with this idea of what they can do to get it started?
The easy part is that the physical thing is the easy part. I mean,
Yeah.
you can let go because you can see a thing, you can just throw it out of your house and that's done. But how about, I mean, the baggage that you're carrying, and it's now years of things that are there in your head, which are, I mean, at some point in time, they keep bothering you or they keep coming back to you. So how do you let that go? That's a very fundamental.
That's a very, very important and a very fundamental question, Puneet. Thank you for asking that. What I would really ask all of us to experiment with before we even get into the space of emotional and mental decluttering is to start with physical decluttering.
Oh.
Because physical decluttering has a direct impact on the emotional and mental decluttering. It's so subtly and energetically, and because you said it's easy to do physical, but it may not be so easy to do mental and emotional. But having known that it's easy, we still don't do it. So I would say start allocating a time in your, in the day, perhaps once a week, to just ask yourself, okay, today I'm going to focus on this room. In perhaps take a corner, depending on how much is going on. Maybe this corner, maybe this room on a Saturday evening or a Sunday morning when you have the time. Actually take a bin bag and start putting things which you don't need in a bin bag, and actually start putting things away which you perhaps know that you will not be using, but it could be of some use to somebody else in a different bag. So what we call the bag for donation, or for maybe in a yard's garden sale where we just put things up. You may want to sell it on an online space, but start creating categories of physical spaces, physical bags where you want to let go. Why is that important? Because it kickstarts a process mentally of release. And the moment we start doing physical letting go and release, which is the easiest to start off with, it translates energetically into our mental and emotional space without even you wanting to do it, without even you trying to do it. It's very subtle, but because it's energetic, it'll start to happen in that moment. And then what you can do is, if you're meditative, if you can find, in fact, maybe we could do this like a present moment awareness. You can just sit with yourself, and you can just be in a very contemplative space. I'm not even saying meditative space, just be in a very contemplative space, be with yourself, and like really reflect and ask yourself this question: what is it in my life today that I can let go? What is it? What is the baggage that I've been holding on to? What is the grievances that I've been holding on to? What are the blames and traumas that I've been holding on to that perhaps are stopping me from living a life of joy and expanse? What is that one thing? And there could be many, but asking yourself, first step to anything, I would say, is awareness. Bring it in your awareness that this I want to do, this I wish to achieve for myself. Because when we let go, when we release, when we forgive, we are not doing a favor on anybody else, but we are letting go of it from it's the biggest favor we do to ourselves by helping ourselves become lighter and move without baggage in life. And when you bring it in awareness, then that itself, it's almost like when you shine the light of awareness and knowledge on something, it starts to crumble by itself. It starts to come into your awareness, and there's so many ways of doing it. You can just say a small prayer of release, that I let go of this and I don't want to give it any more energy. There are so many ways you can do it energetically. We do practices like grounding. Grounding is when you imagine roots going down the base of your feet or spine, just like a tree is grounded through roots. We imagine those roots going down our body. And it's something that helps us to become the channel for us to release things energetically as well. But what's more important than techniques is our intention. So I would say our intention to want to release, first of all, and then our awareness of what is it that I'm holding on to? How is it holding me back? That itself is very powerful, and you will be amazed at how you will get insights intuitively to release them. But start with physical level first, because it's the easiest to do, and we delay that the most. And the more we do that, then we can get into the mental and emotional space. Because Rishi, that's how we did it for you, isn't it? For Rishi, it was a bit reverse.
Yeah.
We first did it internally for him.
Yeah.
And we actually asked him to visualize boxes in which he was putting in things from his past, which he was carrying in his subconscious awareness.
Right.
And once he started, you remember, Rishi, we did that.
Yes,
And once you started
yes.
seeing it being released,
Yeah.
you actually then got physical boxes to put your stuff away.
Exactly. Exactly. Somehow that was easier for me to think of. And yeah, I just like Puneet has asked questions, we'd like to open it up for anybody that's been listening and have been thinking of asking something that is, you want to ask Nupur of something specific on this. This is a good time. Yeah, Tina, go ahead. Yes.
Hi, Tina.
Yeah, hi Nupur. Thank you very much for sharing this insight. It's been lovely listening to you and how you've been working with Rishi on a close level. I wouldn't be shy, and by putting my vulnerability and sharing it on this platform, like I'm coming out of a relationship that was there for a small time, and this person just broke all ties with me just over a phone call, and I was really very invested, and I did not know because to handle this, and in a way for last 1 month I've been trying to grapple with this new concept of relationships wherein things just break, just like just one message and things are no one is interested in the other person. So it was very shocking for me, and I'm still trying to grapple with so much of whatever has gone by last 3 months and the sudden change that has happened in the life. So I think I don't know how to release this. I really want to release, but then there are times when I become so revengeful. I start thinking like I want to kill this person. If he comes to me, I'm going to abuse him. And shout. I mean, and then I know that I'll not do any of this so much inside me. But then I know that I need to forgive probably or release, then get into the declutter physically as well. So please.
Yeah, Tina, thanks for sharing that. And clearly, it's something very personal and deeply, emotional for you. So thank you, and really appreciate you opening up about that. One way of release that I find very powerful is writing. So, everything that we feel very deep, and we underestimate the power of writing. So I would really urge you to experiment by writing down everything that you feel and to go all out. Like, don't hold back, go all out and express your disappointment, express your disgust, express your anger. Give it rather than keeping it suppressed, because that's what we do. We hoard emotions. We don't want to be hoarders of emotions anymore. We want to be able to see them, acknowledge them, and allow them to flow in our energy, because emotions are energy in motion. They are meant to be flowing. They are meant to be experienced, but we need to channel them right. So when we write the emotions down, when we express it, it's almost like we are transmuting the power of energetically transmuting it. It's almost like when we use wind to generate power, we transmute the wind energy into electrical energy. Now, I want you to use your emotional energy, which is right now in the mind-body arena, and translate that into physical energy by writing it as words on a paper. And once you have fully written down and use the choicest of swear words, express yourself out there, opening your channels of release, I want you to then read it out aloud as if you're speaking it out to that person. Release the emotions, and you may want to tear it or burn it as a sign of closure that from now on, I don't want it anymore in my energy field. And we could do that with it could be your emotional challenge. It could be what Puneet asked us. But, writing things down and releasing them is very powerful. It's a sign of telling our subconscious that I am not just dealing with it at this level now. I'm changing its energy and putting it on pen and paper. And then either burn it, see it turning into ash, or see it shredding into thin bits of paper. That's a very powerful transmutation that happens. And you may want to do it time and again. Once may not be enough, So allow yourself to release, allow yourself to let go. And at the same time, indulge in some physical release also. Because now we know that when we are doing physical declutter, especially, it really helps us to move from a state of stagnation into a state of movement. A lot of times when we are upset about something, when we are, depressed or anxious or stressed, we kind of get into a no action mode. We don't want to do anything. We just want to sit and sulk and be in that space. But when we carry because we're talking about decluttering, but when we take that bin bag and we decide to put things in which we don't need, it's a very good indication to your mind and your life that, you are putting it all away and ready to move forward. It's a sign that I'm moving forward with ease and grace and less resistance. Right? So just try and see how this helps you. And once you are in that space of releasing, you'll be amazed how, because I always say that, these things are magnetic, it's very magnetic. So when you are in that vibration of wanting to let go, you'll find more ways of helping you to release that, So just dabble with that, and maybe we'll hear from you in some form or the other. We have a WhatsApp group. You are very welcome to join that, and we would love to hear how that felt for you.
Yeah, in fact, I have also posted the WhatsApp group link here, and I have made it in admin mode right now because some guy was just spamming the damn thing. But I will be opening it up in about half an hour once we are done with this session. I'll open it up, and then you can tell us how it's going, Tina. It would be good to know what happens. We'd all like to know how Tina is doing.
Thank you very much, Rishi, and thank you very much, Nupur. It's very, very helpful, just this small thing that you shared. I'm sure it's a very powerful exercise, and I'll definitely start doing it tomorrow itself.
Absolutely. And also, one thing that I really say aloud a lot is that it's the power of simplicity. That's what changes things. A lot of times we wait for big things to happen, it has to be a big thing that will change and a big thing that will create a shift. But minimalism is also teaching us the power of simple, small, and efficient steps. And they don't have to be big things, big steps and big tools for us to overcome our hang-ups and our challenges in life. Small and simple, but consistency and repetition. That's what's very powerful. So wish you all the very best, Tina.
Thank you very much.
If anyone else has questions, this is a great, we have Nupur live now. Of course, we have it on the WhatsApp group too, but this would be a good time if anybody has thoughts, questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a great.
Please go ahead. And one thing that was coming to me a lot when I was talking about decluttering and minimalism, in fact, we did a campaign in a corporate, because I do corporate workshops, where we talked about doing this in the workplace. Now, because people are back post-pandemic at workplaces, so we talked about how efficiency improves, how focus improves, and how productivity improves when we are in an uncluttered environment, and we kind of embody minimalism. And a lot of one of the big questions that came up, which I think is very, very relevant to all of us today, is a lot of times things have emotional value to us. A lot of times everything that we have has a deep emotional connect. So how do we let go of that? How do we let go of stuff because it has emotional charge to it? So I actually want to ask you that question, all of you who are on that with us today, before I give my experience. How can you let go of something which is of deep emotional value to you?
That's a very difficult thing to do. I have two daughters. Both of them are in US.
Excuse me.
Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Puneet, go ahead.
Yeah. So now there are a lot of things which are there with us, which we are holding on. Yes, as I mean, since childhood, their report cards and some of the notebooks or some of their dresses or some such thing. No, it's very difficult. You just can't throw them out. So
Yeah,
yes,
yes.
it's very difficult.
So you're saying it is difficult. Absolutely agree. Yeah, I agree with it's difficult. So now the challenge is to find. I'm not saying destroy everything. I'm not the ruthless sword bearer here, but it's about sometimes it can really spill into not letting go, and sometimes it can become quite contractive, energetically also, and restrictive for people when they're not letting go and releasing things. So somebody had unmuted themselves. Did they want to share something?
I
Or
think I was
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, Nupur.
Hello.
Yeah. The thing is that you're talking about, no, first of all, I didn't get what you mean by minimalism. And second of, I can understand what you mean by decluttering. But the thing is that when we declutter our old baggages, you're talking about decluttering about old baggages. So what about the baggages we are carrying, we will be having in future and right now? So for that reason also we have to we have to channelize our brain, and like for an example, like somebody has failed in class 9 and she's doing good, that is a baggage ki main fir se fail na ho jaऊं. She is letting that go. Nahi, padhungi to I'll be okay, I'll not fail in the class. But
Yeah, I
now
understand.
what about
Yeah.
जो अभी जो मैं baggages carry कर रही हूँ, I will make myself free from the old baggages, that's for sure. But
Yeah.
मैं जो अभी carry कर रही हूँ, how to how to get how to make ourselves free from the baggages which happens in day-to-day life. Like for an example, somebody staying with her mother-in-law becomes a baggage. I'm
Okay,
just
wonderful. Yeah. Right,
I'm just
right.
citing
So,
an example. Like
yeah, I get no, I
a
get your
person,
drift.
no,
Yeah.
see, a person whom you don't like, and he or she is walking 24 hours in front of you, this is also kind of baggage. So how to get rid of that? Means how
Okay,
to,
that's a very, very, very loaded question. Let me
ignore
answer
that
it.
without
Yeah.
ignore that without ignoring. I can't ignore. No, not me. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. So let me ask.
Our
Let me
daughter-in-law
answer.
cannot ignore the mother-in-law since his husband
So
is
let me
mother.
answer that.
But
It's true.
our presence is creating a mess.
Okay.
So
Right.
how to ignore without ignoring?
Yeah. So we wouldn't really call it ignore without ignoring, but probably I would talk about the concept of acceptance. And the concept of acceptance lies very deeply with the concept of minimalism as well in life. Now, I will first start with talking about what is minimalism, you asked. Minimalism is by understanding that as human beings, we don't have to live with excess and more and more and more, because that becomes, it's almost like a disease, because we never feel content, and it leads to a deep sense of discontentment. Now, minimalism doesn't talk about that you don't have comfortable things in life. You have comfortable things. You create a space of comfort, but not a space of excess, because that is a reflection of a mindset of lack that we talked about. So minimalism talks about being comfortable with enough, and doesn't even mean being comfortable with less, but really asking. And minimalism is a very personal concept to each of us. What feels minimalistic to you may not feel minimalistic to me. So it's actually not copying anybody else, but being true to what feels right to me at that level of minimalism, right? What feels enough to me? Because otherwise the world is, as they say, is your oyster. Literally it is in these days. And we can always have a sense of discontentment if we are not recognizing what enough means to me. So minimalism means that, to answer the first part of the question. And to answer the second part of your question, baggage is typically addressed to something that is from the past. You know, some things that we have been holding on to, some things that have been getting piled up again and again and becoming so intense that they kind of sabotage us. We sabotage our own selves because of these subconscious baggages that we have from the past of emotions, failures, conscious, subconscious. It's a whole paradigm that's stopping us from living a life of expansion. So that's what we are talking about, releasing the baggage of the past. Now, when we have something in the present that's creating chaos for us, you know, a sense of unrest for us and creating a lot of mind wobbly and emotional upheavals for us, then we need to ask ourselves, what is it in my life that I need to understand, learn, and accept? Because certain times we can walk away from situations, but certain times we cannot walk away. We have to become stronger than the challenge we have at hand, but we can't do that by resisting what is. We have to embody an energy of acceptance. And when I was actually talking about releasing things that have emotional value to us, that's again something we need to understand. Once we accept that, yes, this person is no longer in our life, or this material does not have much value in my life, I accept that it was important. I see it for what value it had, but now it's time to let it go. So in terms of materialism, we can practice acceptance, but in terms of relationships, acceptance is something that is a little more difficult to practice, but nothing that we can't achieve by trying. So if you gave an example of living with somebody who's triggering you all the time, so everything is energy and everything is vibration. I cannot say that enough. The moment we change our energy and vibration, we translate and we allow that energy to transmit around us. So people either align with that vibration or they fall out of that vibration, you know, but it takes time and practice. It's something like when you are in a more acceptance of this individual and you're more allowing and you are saying that it's okay for what they are, I can't change them, because changing the other person will be a battle of a lifelong battle, which you will never win. The only person that you can impact change on is here, this person, that's the only space where we can change. So it starts by reflecting, what is it in you that you can change? What is it in you that you can empower, expand in consciousness? And then as you accept that person for who they are, you will be amazed at how the dynamics between the two people improve, whether it's a boss, a colleague, or an in-law, or even, why are we talking about in-laws right now? I mean, we have people who are on flesh and blood that people are having challenges with. Through the pandemic, we had so many families which were living together, parents and children, you know, siblings. Everybody was having a challenge. So it's about understanding that what is it that I can accept and what is it that I can let go. And sometimes if it is an abusive relationship, then gathering the strength to walk out for whoever it is. So the answer will come to you, because every life situation is very unique, but vibrationally and energetically, you need to expand. And that's one thing so the reason why we talk about decluttering is because it's a way of expanding consciousness. When we pick up that bin bag and we ask ourselves, I don't need this, but somebody else may really benefit from it, we are actually expanding the field of consciousness. We are actually doing good in a world which is starved of love and affection right now. A world where there is a whole strata of society which is in lack, which is in deprivation, right? So the moment we start to share, the moment we start to release things which we don't need, but somebody else may benefit, what are we doing? We are expanding this field of awareness and consciousness, right? So the entire game of decluttering is about expanding our energies and about going and expanding our consciousness, right? So in fact, if I can say, we should welcome people who trigger us, because without them, we cannot grow in our lives. It's like, you know, we have this thing called high intensity interval training in gyms. You know, when we are getting fit, we call it resistance training. Actually, life is a resistance training, because that's the only way we can grow, through these individuals in our life. So, you know, just practicing a bit of patience and acceptance and reflection can go a long way in helping us.
So this is suddenly bringing up something
Does,
else from.
excuse me, Rishi,
Sorry, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Acceptance is compromise?
No,
Because
not at all.
I am
No,
not gonna
not
change
at all.
for
No,
anyone.
not. I would like to
I am
challenge
not
you on
gonna
that.
change
No,
myself.
no.
I
Acceptance
am
and
not gonna
compromise are
change
very different.
myself.
Yeah.
Because
So acceptance,
I
let
am
me
not gonna
intercept by
change for
saying that
anyone.
acceptance and compromise are not same. So please spend some time in reflecting on what is the difference. Yeah. So please, I would really urge you to go and introspect and find the difference between acceptance and compromise. They are very, very different. Yeah.
In fact, I'm just
So
thinking of what.
anything between acceptance and walking out of a relationship, anything between that we can practice, means like, you know, uh, I if people don't have that guts to walk away of a relationship,
Then we work on
So-
our vibration. Absolutely. We work on our own energy field. We work on our own vibration. And acceptance and pause. Pause is very important. Before we react, we stop, we think. Practicing pause is a very powerful practice. Even when we are indulging, when we are talking about minimalism and decluttering, when you are trying, nowadays the world is going online with shopping and everything and buying things excessively. I just tell my clients, pause and ask yourself, do I really want this? Or do I really need this? What is it in me that wants this? So taking a pause, whether it is in the concept of decluttering or whether it's in the concept of relationships. And Angana, I wouldn't want to digress too much from the topic today by getting into the relationships, but these are universal concepts. Acceptance is a universal concept. Taking a pause is a universal concept. And working on our own vibration
Yes.
and energy is a universal concept, right? So thank you so much for your questions.
Great. Wow. Anybody else has questions that they want to ask?
Just one more thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a suggestion.
Yeah.
Because all these things, I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of tools and things which are required to be performed to actually physical. Again, I'm saying, because I've been moving from one place to the other. So the decluttering used to happen. I mean, we used to keep a box that, and the rule was once a thing is dropped inside that box, nobody would ask any question, it'll just be given. So now in the mind space or the actual relationships or any other thing. So if we could hold some kind of workshops around that, and I mean, maybe whenever such
We do workshops, Puneet, and we'd be very happy to maybe, thank you for suggesting that. We do a lot of mindfulness workshops, and maybe Rishi and I can think of setting up a workshop around mindfulness where we can actually practice a lot of these things that we are talking about today.
That'll be wonderful.
In fact, the next one that you do, we'll just post it on the WhatsApp group for anybody that wants to join us,
Absolutely. Because this is, though it can feel like a big task, a mammoth task to achieve, but as they say, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. So don't delay the step. That's one thing I would really urge. Don't delay taking the action. And that action could be something as simple as picking up your bin bag tomorrow morning before work, before you have a shower, and just saying, I don't need this. Can I release this? I don't need this. Can I donate this? This has served me really well. I'm very grateful, and gratitude is an energy which I say is a very powerful energy that once we embody the energy of gratitude, it can change patterns, it can change behaviors. So just being very grateful for everything that has come your way, everything that has served you materialistically, but now say that it's something I don't need it. It's just been lying there. And it could be something very valuable as well. So when I was doing this in the corporate workshop, there was a very senior executive, and she came up to me and said, you know what, I had this piece of jewelry with me, which I have been having, and it's something that we all inherit from our ancestors, and but she said, you know what, I will never wear it again. My daughters are never going to wear it again because it's not the style in vogue. So can I give it to somebody? And she actually went to an organization that organizes weddings for orphanage, in orphanage for kids who are without parents. And she donated her jewelry there. And that was something which was so expansive for her. She said, the reason why we do it is because we feel great doing it. And that's very important. Feeling good and feeling a sense of having expanded the consciousness on this planet in our lives, what we can do at my individual level. And it was received with so much gratitude, and it made her feel so happy and grateful. And she said, you know what, I don't know why I've been holding on to this. It was just a mindset. It was a conditioning. So when we do decluttering, we are breaking conditioning patterns also. We need to break patterns of conditioning, because these are just things which are handed down to us through generations, these conditioning ways of thinking. We need to now ask ourselves, do I subscribe to this way of thinking? Is this my way of thinking? Or can I change? And can I start a movement? And that's what Rashid did. He actually started a Facebook page. Rashid, would you like to talk us about a bit about that as well?
Yeah, sure. I think I pasted on the chat, but in case you guys don't see it, we actually have, I created this some time back, and we just happened to just notice it, and we said, let's talk about this also tomorrow. I'm not going to share my screen here on Facebook, on my computer here. Share screen. Yeah. So this is the gift stuff. Oh, sorry. This is the one in West Bengal that actually Angana has started looking at. So this one I created, give stuff away for free Mumbai, because I thought it would be something more like, it's even in Mumbai is so big, I mean, it's like, if I'm, for those of you that are in Mumbai will know, I'm in like Chembur, and if somebody at the other end, like in Borivali, wants some stuff, it's gonna like take, I mean, if it's something like $500, $1,000, I might just spend $1,000 by cab going back and forth to pick it up. So we try to keep it localized to city. Angra said we'll do one for West Bengal. There's one for India. So I'm just going to post these ones. This is people post stuff here. Let me just scroll down a bit. Somebody's asking for stuff. So you can even ask for stuff here or post stuff here. I gave it a title of give stuff away, because that's the whole idea. Give it away, get rid of it. And of course, if somebody finds it useful, if nobody picks it up in a week's time, I'm going to give it to the Bangar guy anyway. So here is some stuff. I'm going to try and see if I can. Okay, somebody wanted to give a fish tank away, just collecting it. I don't know why he posted it so many times. Let's see what else is there. Fish tank. Somebody, they want a cat. Okay, let me see. I think I put some stuff here. Somebody wants to give away books. Oh, yeah. Books that are done with, the next students, the next standard they go to, they can benefit. That's good. What is this? Again, the fish tank guys put way too many fish tanks in there. This is a table, and somebody took it, I think. It says, okay, this is in Mira Road. Somebody had something to offer. Somebody want to give cats. Oh, somebody wanted cat food here. Let me see if I can scroll down a little bit more. Somebody got rid of this. Now, so the moment it's taken away, this is a stand or something, they mark it as like taken, so that they know that this is already gone. Tripods, even one of these typewriters. There's a whole bunch of stuff. So this is one I'm going to post on the chat, which is on Mumbai. I'm also going to post one which is on West Bengal, which Angana has actually started to manage that. And there's another one for all India, actually. This is a huge group. This is more than 13,000 people. So I'm going to put the India group here. It's managed by Deepa. I always find it hard to find her because she puts her name in Hindi. So I'm like, I don't have the Hindi keys in India. And the other one is West Bengal, and Angana is the admin for that one. So I mean, you guys, if you don't find your city here, I would urge you to create a group on Facebook for free and let us know. We'll kind of promote it and advertise it so that more and more people get to know about it. Yeah, but this is
yeah. Even Reshma has talked about the Darya Dil Dukan, which she says she's a part of this group. And
okay, right.
Yeah, she talks about, they have a city-wise chapter. So
Right.
there are clearly people doing these initiatives, but
Right.
you know,
Right.
and she has created one. So please join that group.
Yeah.
And we would love to, you know, have you spread the word and spread the light, because, you know, I think eventually it also helps to take us out of our own shells and contribute to the bigger you know, world around us and to the society. And it doesn't only have to be things we don't need. It could be sometimes just a generous gift to somebody that, you know, you feel like giving away. You know, it could still mean a lot of that. And that's what I pushed when I was doing this conference. I pushed them to give one thing away which still has value to them, but it won't put their world to us, it won't bring it to a screeching halt if they don't have that thing. So that itself expands the energy, because, you know, you still value this thing, but in a way you're gifting it away. And it's just not because we want to be, you know, we don't all have to become philanthropic you know, givers, but just to embody the energy of giving and releasing and doing it from that space. So that's something we would really urge for you to think differently, think a little beyond, and to start decluttering your lives energetically, vibrationally, physically, emotionally, mentally, and in all which ways you can.
Dr. Nupur, thank you so much for taking out the time, and I hope we do another session like this and invite all of you guys back again for another interesting talk. Thanks, everybody, for joining us this evening, and hopefully you guys will have, you all have had dinner and we're now heading back to bed or something, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
Thank you, Rishi.
Thank you so much.
And thank you, Nupurji.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. Thank you, everybody.
It was wonderful. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See you, Reshma.
Bye. Bye, Reshma. Thank you.